I don't know what it is, but there's something really satisfying about pruning North American pitcher plants. In this video, I'll be sharing a few tips to help you grow presentable and healthy plants. My name is Jerry from Succulent Fly Traps. Move along over here, you'll notice that there are quite a few pitchers that have fallen over or they're on a slant. Now the reason, as I explained in my last update, was because we had quite a bit of rain. Now when I'm looking at my nursery here, when I'm up here having a look around, I always try to sort of prop up any pitchers that I know that are still functioning, like this one over here. Still plenty of colour there, and there's still some nectar glands there that I can see, so there's nothing wrong with that pitcher. So I wouldn't even think about cutting this pitcher off, even though it's on the side like that, and even though there is a bit of a brown patch over there as well. So because it's sort of, we've had some dry weather recently, a lot of that water has evaporated from those pitchers. It makes it easier then to sort of prop up those pitchers, just as I did just then. You can see there how that pitcher is standing up nicely, and most importantly, it can sort of start to trap insects. Once those insects, of course, digest, they provide vital nutrients for the plant. So here's another one over here as well that's toppled over. I just like to sort of gently prop that up as well. You can still see that that pitcher's okay. So just prop that up like that, and you can see there how not only does it look nicer, but those traps are now functioning because they're vertically positioned. Alright, now you see some of these older pitchers here. These are quite old. How do I know that? Because these are Sarracenia flava, and I can tell just by looking at how the colours of them. They're quite old, and they don't look like there's many. If I touch them, it looks very dry. It actually feels very dry. There's no nectar in there. So these are pitchers which I'm sure are safe to remove. So what I do, of course, is get my prunes, not my prunes, my pruning shears, and then I just carefully cut those pitchers off. Now what I could have done, I could have put them right down to the base. You can do that as well, but I'm pretty sure that these pitchers, which were produced in spring, as I said, are safe to remove. Okay, you can see these ones over here, these are quite old. These are quite brown at the top. They are also safe to remove. So just be careful when you're doing this that you don't cut off any fresh pitchers. You can see that one over here as well. It's quite old there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully cut that off around the base. Make sure you're using a good set of pruning shears that ensures that the cut is nice and sharp, just like that. Alright, so by removing these older pitchers, these non-functioning pitchers, what you do is, there's a couple of things that you do. It does look nicer. More importantly though, you do provide more light coming into that rhizome, which is that middle part of the plant. That's that stemmy part down there. And the second thing is you also provide more ventilation as well. So Sarracenia are prone to black mold. Black mold pretty much feeds off the nectar secretions around the pitchers here, and that typically happens when you don't have much air circulation, because those spores then tend to sit on those pitchers, and that's how that black mold starts to grow. Okay, so here's another picture over here. You can see here how it's quite brown there at the top, and there's no way that that's going to be attracting any more insects. So you can see here how it's just brown down there. So what I do in that instance is I just cut that off around. You can cut it off down the base, but I just cut it off where it's, you're gonna have to excuse me here because I don't have, there we go. So I'll just do that there, and excuse the noise there in the background. So I just cut it off there where it's brown, carefully, not cutting anything else, and then just remove it as well. There you go, you can see that old picture there, okay? You can see here, this is a older spring picture of Sarracenia flava, rubricopora. So again, and because it's sort of leaning over that way, what it can also do is it can impede the growth of new shoots coming up, okay? So that's something that you also have to be aware of. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to go in there with my pruning shears and just carefully cut that off. And that's it over here. That's how it's been cut off. And you can see there already that it's already starting to look nicer. There's a little bit more light coming into there. So that light is important because it stimulates new growth. That's particularly so for pitches that are in season. Okay, so here's one here that's in season. You can see these brand new leaves coming up. So be just be aware of those that are in season, that there are no pitches sort of resting over them, because that will stop the growth of those leaves. Okay, so you can see here, here's a Sarracenia leucophila picture. You can see how old that is. You can see how it's leaning over like that. That could potentially stop the growth of some of these pitches. You can see this picture over here, how it's sort of curved there, and the reason that's happened is because there must have been some sort of obstruction and sort of grown around it. So what I tend to do is I get that picture that's leaning over, and where is it? There we go. So you can see there how it's all dead there. So I just carefully move them off like that. Here's another one over here. You can see here how it's brown right there. So we're just going to cut that around to where the brown bit finishes. Always helps when you have nice, sharp pruning shears. And you can see there now that there's no picture there that's resting over there, and that provides a nice pathway for those brand new pitches to grow. There's a few more over here as well, but hopefully you get the idea about cutting off those pitches and just being aware of those that are obstructing other ones as well, other plants. So you can see here, these are well and truly older pitches. So what I do, again, just very carefully, a bit hard for me to do this because I only got one hand here, the other one's holding a camera. Just carefully cut that picture off. Another one over here. Keep cutting that off. Okay, so let's have a look at what that looks like. You can see there how it's looks nicer now. Those pitches have been nicely cut away, and that plant now that is in season has got nice unobstructed space there for those leaves. Okay, all right, so moving along here now. Again, you can see here, look at this one over here. So this is another older leaf from a Sarracenia leucophila. Look how beautifully they are coming up into season. You can see here how this one is brown, definitely browned up around there. It's not going to attract any more flies, and you can see here how it's all sort of, you press that there, it's quite it's brown there, and it's quite wrinkly, crispy. So that's a sign that, hey, that picture's pretty much finished digesting, and it's sort of really starting to brown off. Okay, now what I'll do there, that one's not really doing anything. I mean, I could cut that off around about there if I wanted to make it look a bit nicer, but I'll just leave that up there for the time being. But of course, if you want to, if you see pictures like that, by all means cut that bit off, especially if it's going to provide more light and it's obstructing other pictures. Okay, now here's another one over here. You can see here how, so even though that picture's quite old, I would tend to leave it on there. It can still attract flies. They can even trap flies by falling into those pictures. If I carefully come down here, you can see that brown patch down the base there. That's because all those digestive enzymes have been released to digest all those captured insects. I would tend to just leave that there. If I touch it there, yeah, it's not crispy at all. It's still fresh, so that's a sign that, hey, that picture should be left where it is to digest and provide vital nutrients to the plant.